afternoon, my friends. I am most grateful, and it is a grand pleasure for me to be able to come and speak with you once again and to share a few words with you and to give you some encouragement. It is such a joy to step back into your dimension and to help to inspire you, to help to equip you, to help you in the meeting the days to come. For you must realize that for me, in my dimension, I am in what you would term paradise, what you would term heaven, because I am living in a place with like-minded people. I am living in a place of pure harmony. And I am living in a place where I do not have to use words anymore. I just use thought to communicate with the other spirits who are on this dimension with me. And I have enjoyed my time here immensely because when I lived on the earth plane, I had to deal with much adversity in my life. Many people could not understand me as a medium, especially in my family and in the environment that I grew up in. But most of you understand and know of what I speak. But here, it is so grand to be with like-minded people. And this is why I am stepping back and talking with you today, because you in the physical world are dealing with some very challenging times coming ahead. Because as you have learned about the light and you have learned about the spiritual truths, there are forces, dark forces, that are on the planet who are trying to win people's minds, win their souls, if you want to term it that way, but to win their minds and to try to teach people that God does not exist. Yes, God doesn't exist as he was written about in the Bible, but he does exist. That divine energy is within each of you. That divine energy is very powerful. That divine energy can be harnessed to manifest whatever you want in your life. And that is what makes the dark side fearful. So when you attend a service like this, you are like learning how to put on your armor to deal with the war between the light and the dark, which is approaching. You are learning how to live the spiritual truths that you have been learning for so long. You are learning the walk. You are learning how to blend with the light beings. You are learning how to blend with spirit. And as you continue this process of learning to blend and learning to absorb the knowledge, whether you hear it or you don't, when the time comes that you need the information, spirit will inspire you. It may not be a voice. It probably won't be a voice like you're hearing now because I'm using a physical medium to speak to you. It won't be a clairaudient voice, most likely, because many of you haven't developed that yet. But it will be a still small voice that is within you, that will resonate within your mind and resonate within your soul. And if you listen to it, it will help to guide you. It will provide you the answers that you need in the moment. And that is what the key skill is. It's not to become clairaudient. It's not to become clairvoyant. It's not to stand in front of a platform and give out messages from departed loved ones. All that is fine. But in the days to come, you will need to be able to hear and communicate with the world of spirit, to have those thoughts pop into your mind and then not to doubt them, but to follow them. For we are here to guide your feet. We are here to guide you along the path. We are here to help you teach and be an example for other people who will be seeking to learn how to live in the light and to live in the spiritual truths. So we applaud you for being here. We applaud you for learning these techniques, and we ask you to incorporate them into your life, to spend a certain amount of time every day, even if it's only 5 minutes, to tune into the divine crystalline energy, to expand your consciousness, to expand your energy field, and to hold it there for those 5 minutes, longer if you can, and because it will help to strengthen the communication with the world of spirit. So it is my hope that you will take these words to heart and you will follow them and understand what you are going to be facing in the days to come. We are ready for your questions now.
Thank you. Thank you, Carl and friends, for being here. We so appreciate it. The first question is from Peggy Blake. Certain words that are unsettling have been used on TV lately. The words nuclear and the words World War III have been thrown around as possibilities. Could this be an effort to cause sensationalism, or is there something to be concerned about? Thank you.
We need to ask you to separate those two terms. Separate the nuclear from the World War III. Throughout the ages, there have been prophets, there have been mediums who can see into the future. The ones in biblical times were able to see that there is another grand conflict, a grand war in the time frame, in the time flow, I should say. It was seen centuries and centuries and centuries ago. The potential for that is there, as well as the potential for it to not happen. As we have been saying in these sessions, the future is not carved in stone. There are certain potentials that are out there, and depending how events happen and how people think, it determines what will actually happen. So one of the potentials out there is to have a major conflict. At this time, we do not see it become nuclear as you are concerned about, even though those words have been stated very recently. There are people from other dimensions, from other planetary systems who are watching this planet very closely. And they are very keen on not allowing the nuclear part of it to happen. That they will stop and they will intervene and stop, because this type of destruction cannot be come back easily. And the planet cannot stand that kind of assault again. So they will come in and make their presence known and, well, to say it clearly, scare the pants off the people who want to use those weapons so that they will not use them. So that aspect they will step in on. As far as the war aspect, they will not as long as it stays a conventional type of war. Because of free will, the people who choose to have that war, the people, the dark forces that want to bring this forward, hopefully the forces of light can prevent it. At this point in time, we cannot say if it will be prevented or if it won't. But we can assure you that there will not be nuclear war. Do you understand?
Thank you. The next question, two people have asked this same question, so I've combined their comments from Peggy and Susan Yu. Hurricane Ian created a lot of devastation and destruction as it stalled over Florida recently. Was this storm influenced or geoengineered by the deep state to cause this destruction? If so, was it to retaliate against Governor DeSantis and his opposition to the deep state? Thank you.
The answer to that question is yes, partially yes. The forces of darkness want to control people. They want people to live in fear. They want people to cower and go and be afraid and not sit in the courage of divine energy as you are learning to do. They do not want people to become aware of the light forces. They do not want people to empower themselves with divine energy. They do not want people to learn that they can manifest things for themselves. Therefore, they are manipulating, they have the capabilities of manipulating weather systems, and they have chosen to bring destruction, to bring fear to people, to make them, well, in actuality, God fearing because of the God that they think that they know, the God of the Bible, who is also a God who often spoke about murdering the enemy and being very negative and very egotistical. That God we're talking about, and people would fear that God. And because they feared that God, they supported the priesthood who supported that God. And in effect, what has happened is the religious aspect, for the most part, has been lifted, and now it's the government who's the religion, and it's here to government is going to protect you, and the government you need to follow exactly what they said. So yes, they wanted to make an example of Florida because of the governor that's there, because he is standing up against and speaking out against what they are trying to attempt. But they are trying to keep people in fear so that they will do exactly what they say. Just like they did it, use the viruses to do that and cause people to change their lives very drastically. They want that control. They want to keep their power for themselves, but they are coming from a very negative source. Therefore, it is important for you to understand, to again, to be in the light, to be in the divine energy as much as you can on a daily basis, so that you are building up a spiritual immune system, if you want to call it that, so that you will not succumb to the antics of the dark forces. Do you understand?
Thank you. So I have a follow-up, if you will. I've also heard that the white hats have taken a lot of that power away from the dark side. So apparently that's not true. If they can still do this kind of weather engineering.
The white hats, as you term them, have thwarted the the forces of darkness in certain areas, but that doesn't mean that they're totally incapacitated. They have, in certain areas, they have made progress, but they have not made total progress with all of them. And you must also remember that the dark forces are um, they're in different camps in different locations. They're not. It's not like one entity per se. It's different ones in different places. So while they can make progress against one group of them, it doesn't mean they're making progress on all the different groups at the same time. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, it does. Thank you. The next question is from Karen. I wonder if there are romantic relationships in the spirit world. What happens if someone had a few love interests in this world? Will they continue when we pass to the spirit world? Some people talk about reincarnation, write books about it. Some of us believe, some do not. No one can provide any evidence and proof that actually there is such a thing as reincarnation. Thank you.
As far as reincarnation goes, you are correct in saying it is very difficult to prove. However, there have been certain cases, although few in number, where small children can very accurately describe events in a previous life. Small children who cannot read a book, small children who cannot go on the internet and research to find a storyline about a certain person who has transitioned into the spirit world. Small children who do not have any of those skills, and yet they can go into detail and say exactly where they lived and perhaps give a name, and it can be substantiated. How would that child know this unless their soul actually lived that experience? Again, this doesn't happen frequently, but it does happen and it has been documented. So, in certain ways, yes, you have to, the reader of the book has to rely that the author's integrity is there and that he's not making up a story. That is true. But there are certain amounts of evidence that do exist. As far as relationships in the spirit world, the yes, it does exist. People do reunite and decide to continue their relationship, their union, their love for one another in the world of spirit. And even if a partner um, died, so one person's in the spirit world and one person's in the physical world, and the person in the physical world starts a relationship with another soul. When the three of them work and end up in the spirit world, there is the understanding that the three of them can have a relationship. And I'm not talking all three together, but that the person who shared their lives with the two other spirits will continue to share their life with the two other spirits. Obviously, the time will be divided, but the point is that in the world of spirit, that is much more understood and allowed than what is allowed in your during your physical world with the laws and rules that have been established with marriage and relationships. So that all disappears and the understanding is there. And frequently, the person who went into the spirit world first is very appreciative of the replacement because it allowed comfort and provided comfort for the person who was still in the spirit world, their loved one. So, and in fact, they are very grateful to that person for being there, so that they their loved one was able to share love with another person and not have to live all alone. So that too plays a factor when all three of them end up back in the world of spirit. Do you understand?
Thank you. The next question is from Fenton. In keeping with the season of Halloween, would you tell us about ghosts? What happens to their divine crystalline energy? Are they stuck here on the earth plane, or do they choose not to transition? Are they dangerous to humans? Can they be helped to pass over? I was in a shamanic group where we supposedly helped ghosts go to the light. I've always wondered if that was legitimate. Thank you so much for connecting with our group and giving us such valuable information. Thank you.
You are asking some extremely interesting questions here, and the answers are varied. So let me begin with this. A person's experience on the earth plane determines a lot of what will happen to them when they cross into the world of spirit. So if a person was gone through a religious indoctrination and they were taught that when they physical body is no more and their soul goes on to the world of spirit, they have to pass a test to get into heaven. They have to be judged by a God. They have to be, they might not pass the test. And because a person might not have lived a saintly life and might have done some things they might be concerned about, they might be extremely scared of going into the world of spirit. So, since that is their belief, that is what they act out. So they are afraid to go into the spirit world, and therefore they manage to keep their soul. They can't keep their soul in the body, obviously, that the body is dead and gone, but their soul remains in the earth plane and does not go into the world of spirit. It does not see the light. It does not raise its frequency. It just kind of stays stuck here in the earth plane. And yes, they can cause, I won't say the word havoc wants to come out of the mouth, but it's not really havoc. Some of them are mischievous. Some of them get excited when they realize that they can be perceived by a human being and therefore start moving things around and all kinds of aspects of that. If the soul then comes into contact with that shamanic group you were talking about, and if the shamanic group can convince the soul not to be afraid, then the soul will go into the light and go into the world of spirit. So yes, it can happen, as you stated. It can also happen that the soul, after a certain amount of time, comes to realize from certain types of experiences, perhaps by watching groups like this one or observing what their belief system is, they might come to realize that they had been misled in their beliefs and therefore go into the light on their own volition. That's also a possibility. And there's also the possibility, as you stated, that some groups who think they're taking spirits into the light really just don't. Because many of those groups, the mediumship may not be precise enough or strong enough or developed enough to actually know whether they were successful or not. So there's all kinds of variations, and therefore there's all kinds of answers. So really, you're coming away with a bunch of contradictory statements. But the problem is there is no set rules, and everything is depending on the perception of the spirit that is earthbound and what that spirit believes and if that spirit can have their, I'll use the word, mind changed, if they come to a new realization of other possibilities than the ones that they were taught when they were living. Do you understand?
Thank you. The next question is from Mary and Karen. Is there anything we can do to help friends and relatives who are experiencing dementia and Alzheimer's disease? Thank you.
The most important thing to do to help these people is to continue your interactions as if they did not have the disease. What is happening with those people is that there, there is a physical breakdown in the mental processes, and they cannot bring back the memories of what happened to them, who people are, and so forth. But that is a physical condition. The soul is still in the body, and the soul in many ways starts to take over the life force of the person. So by continuing your relationship, by talking to them, by reading them stories, by engaging them, even though they do not respond the way you would wish they would, their soul is responding. And they may be in a situation where their soul is responding, but they can't bring that response from the soul through their body to talk and speak to you. That can be a possibility, but that doesn't mean the soul isn't responding. It's just you can't perceive it unless you learn how to blend with that person's soul and can go and can communicate on a telepathic level. Then you can. There have been many situations where people sitting in a mediumship development class will suddenly, and they're practicing speaking to people who are in the other dimension, will suddenly bring forth a relative who is in this dimension and very much alive, but is in a coma or cannot talk or has dementia. But they are in communication with that soul, and they can explain the thought processes that the soul is going through, and they can articulate that to the people in the room as if it was a spirit from the world of spirit, but it's actually the spirit that's still incarnate in the physical world. That has happened on many, many occasions. So the soul is very much alive and working perfectly. It's the physical body that has broken down and stopping communication. Do you understand?
Thank you. The next question is from Laura. Many ominous financial forecasts have been made regarding some kind of global financial reset being prepared. Should we move our money out of investment accounts for safety? Is cash converting to the digital dollar inevitable? Thank you.
We say to you that a digital dollar will be coming, but inevitable is the wrong word. What you should attempt to do is to avoid it. And by avoiding it, the smartest thing to do at this point is to go out and to get physical gold coins. Having money and gold is something tangible that you can hold on to. It will not lose its value. Yes, its value fluctuates with the marketplace, but it will, in this reset, all of a sudden go up tremendously. You can barter with the gold. You can exchange it for the things you need, and you do not have to be caught up in the digital currency as you discussed. And we would highly recommend that. If you cannot get gold, you could do the same thing with silver, because silver is also, those coins are made. These have tangible value. You can hold on to them yourself. Do not place them in a bank. Do not place them in a vault. Keep them hidden with you, and they will see you through in the days to come. Do you understand?
Thank you. So, the last question is from Carol C. from myself, and it's kind of a follow up on an earlier one about the how far the white hats have gone, because I know they're making progress, but I see the mainstream media still talking about fake news and still brainwashing the public. And the apparently the dark side is poisoning water sources in cities. So I'm I'm waiting for that to change. As we see the white hats making more and more progress, I want to see some of these things that the dark side is doing come to a halt. Is that at all possible in our near future? Thank you.
Unfortunately, what will take place is that when one battle is won and the white hats have stopped a certain situation, the dark forces will come up with another technique. This conflict is a long one. It's a long struggle. The media, as you refer to it, is very much under the influence of the dark forces. So you cannot look to it to measure gains made by the forces of light. They will not exist. They are the media is part of the tools that keep the used by the dark forces in order to keep people under control, to keep people in fear. So do not look for the media to change at any point in time. And again, when one battle's lost, they'll start something else. So we say to you that you must sit in the power, you must sit in the courage and the strength of the light and resonate with that and walk forth and live your life as best you can, being an example of a light worker, being an example of how to live your life spiritually correctly. And that very much is like being a warrior these days. Your techniques is your armor in this war. The war is a battle of individuals. The more people that come to the light and work for the light makes it
Mhm.
harder for the forces of darkness. It is a long struggle. It is one that will be testing you, but you must have the knowingness within your soul and within your mind and within your being that you have the tools to get through this. And do not become discouraged. Do not become more interested in what is happening in the world per se than what's happening in your own world. Be the example in your own world, and you will bring more light into the world. That's not to say not to know what's going on in the world. I'm not saying that. But don't let that be your primary focus. Be your primary focus on how you are living your life and what you are doing and how you are walking your path and your truth. And be aware of what's going on, but don't let anyone or anything alter your footsteps in the path you are following. Do you understand?
Thank you. And that's the last question. And we thank you from our heart for you being here and guiding us. Thank you so much.
It is a great pleasure for me to be here and to witness this communication. As you know, and again, I am Carl speaking. I am here more as a moderator than providing answers. I allow the person who is the expert in to answer that question to step in and speak. But it is a great honor for me to serve in that capacity. In effect, I'm the chairperson in the spirit world, as you, Carol, are the chairperson in the physical world. And it works very much that way. It is important, as we has been stated before, that you become stronger and stronger in your connection to your divine energy and your using of the divine energy, for it will serve you well in the days to come. We leave you at this point with our blessings. We leave you with our gratitude, for we are humbled by the fact that you are continuously coming to learn and coming to understand your important role in providing this change or bringing the age of knowledge into your physical world. It is a great, great achievement. It is a great project. And know that all of you have signed on for this challenge when you came into the world, because it was time so that you could be here to assist in this transition. This transition is not easy. Will be challenging, but you will be up to the challenge as long as you stay steadfast in the knowledge that you are receiving. We leave you with our peace, our blessings, and our fortitude of knowledge. So be it.